Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Catherine Newcomb. I'm a product marketing manager focusing on application security. And today I'm going to talk to you all about how you can secure user-facing generative AI and apps that use AI using Cloudflare. We recently launched a product called Firewall for AI. But before I get into some details about this particular product, I'll talk about how you can understand some Gen AI risks and what has emerged recently as Gen AI has become more and more used and become more popular throughout different industries. I'm going to talk about how it's being used in some of the most common tools, though I bet you can guess already what are some of the most common tools in the market. Next, I'll talk about how you can use Firewall for AI and what it does and how you can get it set up in your environment. I'll provide a brief overview of some of the key functionality in this product. So let's start with understanding generative AI risks. So let's talk about different types of AI, right? So AI is obviously the buzzword and has been for the last few years, but there are different types of AI models that we will talk about when we're talking about different topics related to AI and AI security. The first topic is predictive AI or machine learning. And this is related to things like detecting attacks using things like pattern recognition. The second category here is generative AI, and this is things like large language models, image generation, things like that. And it is basically creating new content using inference, right? The last category here is agentic AI, and this is multiple AI systems that are acting together, autonomously making decisions. We have a lot of agent communication here, and this is a little bit more of an autonomous AI system that can do things like create a campaign or send emails, etc. Today, what we're talking about is primarily generative AI and generative AI risks and security concerns. So let's start with generative AI in the news. Well, obviously this has continued to be an issue, and with every new technology comes new attack surfaces. And some of the biggest risks to Gen AI we've seen include things such as sensitive data exposure and prompt engineering to get Gen AI models to expose sensitive data or act counter to their remits. And you might be familiar with the OWASP top 10 for applications. There is similarly an OWASP top 10 for large language models. The OWASP top 10 for applications is updated every 3 years or so. Right now, OWASP is updating this list every year. So it was updated last year and is updated again this year. But you can see there tends to be some similar overlaps in some senses. Things like sensitive data exfiltration, an issue in web applications just as it is in AI models. However, things like prompt injections, data or model poisoning, excessive agency, and these are all types of risks that aren't present in applications as well. So there are new considerations we need to think about when it comes to securing AI-powered apps and AI models themselves, as well as user interactions with them. So let's talk a little bit about how AI is being used. Well, organizations everywhere are adopting LLMs, and spending on generative AI solutions is forecasted to reach 143 billion across the industry in 2027. And with any new technology comes a new set of cybersecurity risks, as we all know, but at least we won't be out of a job for a while. And risks and protection measures vary by different LLM types. So for public LLMs, this is what most people think of: publicly accessible models like ChatGPT or Google Bard. The biggest risk here is employees leaking sensitive information via these models. Product LLMs are, for example, a customer support chatbot that's built to interact with company resources. And a big risk here is reputational. Internal LLMs, one of the biggest risks here is, for example, it might be access to sensitive data and intellectual property. And an example of an internal LLM is an AI copilot that might be trained on sales data and customer interactions to help sellers generate tailored proposals for customers. So if you had to guess what the top LLM service as of 2024 was, I bet you could all guess the answer. Cloudflare Radar looks at things from LLM usage to wider internet traffic data, and it's a fantastic report. I highly recommend checking it out by scanning this QR code here. But if you'd like to take a look, you will find that, AI usage, there's lots of really commonly used AI services, and this would probably change if it were run mid-2025, 6 months later, but ChatGPT would likely still remain the top used public LLM service. So now let's turn to what you're really probably interested in hearing about, which is securing user-facing generative AI with our Firewall for AI product. So what is it at a very high level? Effectively, it's a protection layer that can sit in front of large language models or apps that use LLMs to identify abuse before it reaches the model. It is effectively a new rule set of our WAF that focuses on blocking attacks that LLMs are vulnerable to that traditional web applications are not, like prompt injections, for example. And this is really valuable because when you're protecting LLMs, having something host agnostic is really important. LLMs, they're accessible from a web app or hosted in a wide variety of ways. They could be self-hosted, they could be hosted on something like Cloudflare Workers AI, or hosted on a third party. And we need to be able to protect LLMs wherever they're hosted or whoever owns them. So let's look at an interaction of how this works. Firewall for AI, as I mentioned, is an advanced web application firewall effectively, and it sits in line specifically tailored for applications that are using LLMs. And it comprises a set of tools that can be deployed in front of apps to detect vulnerabilities and provide visibility to model owners or model consumers. And this toolkit includes products that are already a part of WAF, such as advanced rate limiting and sensitive data detection, and a new protection layer that we just released, which is the Firewall for AI component. And this new validation analyzes the prompt submitted by the end user to identify exploits or attempts to exploit the model, rather, to extract data and other types of abuse. And leveraging the size and the data on the Cloudflare network, Firewall for AI runs as close to the end user as possible, allowing us to identify attacks early and protect both end users and models from abuses and attacks. And Firewall for AI can be deployed in front of models hosted on Cloudflare Workers AI or on any other third-party infrastructure or on your own infrastructure. And it can be also used alongside our product AI Gateway, and customers will be able to control and set up Firewall for AI using the WAF control plane. They're able to do so now. And in addition to Firewall for AI, what can be used to protect LLMs in our AppSec portfolio? Well, there are a couple things that already exist in addition to the recently released Firewall for AI detections. We have features like advanced rate limiting, which I mentioned, which can detect and rate limit excessive requests or block those requests, which could result in things like model overcharges or resource consumption on the model. Next one is sensitive data detection, and this detects sensitive data that is exfiltrated in the response phase. And so these are just a couple ways that our existing detections for web applications will work together with more sophisticated AI sort of application protections. And because it's all sort of in one rules engine, it will all sort of sit in line and you can rearrange rules according to the order you want to run them in. All right, so looking at some of the key use cases for Firewall for AI, security teams have a growing new challenge, which is ensuring AI applications are used securely, both in regard to internal usage by employees, as well as by users of externally facing AI apps the business is responsible for. And ensuring PII data is handled correctly is a major concern of these AI usage and Gen AI usage in particular. The first use case here that we're focused on is discovering AI applications. You can't protect what you don't know about, of course, and Firewall for AI's discovery capability lets security teams find AI apps that are being used within the organization without the need to perform extensive surveys. Next use case is controlling PII flow and access. And once discovered via Firewall for AI or another means, security teams can leverage things like ZTNA to ensure only authorized employees are accessing the correct apps. Additionally, using Firewall for AI, they can ensure that even if those employees are authorized, neither employees nor potential external users are submitting or extracting personal identifiable information to and from the app. Next use case here is protecting against exploits. Malicious users that are targeting AI apps with novel attack vectors. So with Firewall for AI and the broader AppSec portfolio that already exists, you can protect against a wide number of exploits highlighted in the OWASP top 10 for applications, as well as the OWASP top 10 for LLM applications, including things like prompt injection, sensitive information disclosure, etc. And then the last one is safeguarding conversations. This is going to be released in the near future in Firewall for AI and is already consumable in the AI Gateway product. But LlamaGuard is integrated into both AI Gateway and then soon Firewall for AI. And this allows you to ensure that both input and output of your AI applications are not toxic, are topic appropriate, and follow sentiment and topic rules based on your internal or external business policies. So let's look a little bit at some external rule creation. Cloudflare allows you to detect and block prompts requesting PII from a wide variety of categories, including PII to many specific countries around the world, such as passport data, etc. So you can see it's created just like you would create a WAF rule, where you can basically select an expression to detect and block PII, for example. Let's also look at an example of content moderation. So here's how you could basically create content moderation within the format that you would typically create a WAF rule. And this allows you to do things like block prompt categories for things like off-topic prompts or things that you wouldn't necessarily want to talk about in a business context, violence, off-topic things, etc. Topics like that. So you can see it's consumable in a very similar way to a WAF rule. So for people who already use our WAF, this will be a very similar interface. Here's some of the key things we're focusing on for the next few months in terms of the roadmap for Firewall for AI. As I mentioned, content moderation is upcoming, but it's already available in our AI Gateway product, and we will continue to do more integrations with that product, as well as topic detection, etc. We'll also be focusing on rate limiting shortly in the future, specifically for AI-related headers. Cloudflare helps you put all of these best practices related to AI into action with a range of capabilities. And not only do we help build full stack AI apps with our developer platform, but we can also help you secure what you build with AI, like what we're talking about today with Firewall for AI. From model training to optimization to inference, we have capabilities to help you deploy, control, and protect your apps throughout the AI lifecycle. And then on the right side, we have ways to help safeguard content creators from the risks of AI. So for anyone who makes text, images, or videos, we'll help you gain visibility into the AI platforms crawling your website to retrieve content used for AI training data. And you might have also heard our CEO talking about a paper crawl initiative on our last several earnings reports. This is definitely a big focus for us as well, making sure that folks can actually monetize AI use of their original data if they choose to allow AI models to use their original content for training data. All right, so if you're interested in getting started with Firewall for AI, we highly recommend that you go ahead and check out our Firewall for AI product brief, and you can go ahead and get signed up and learn how to deploy Firewall for AI if you click this code here, the QR code on the screen. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day.